Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's James and Suj is on holiday. And bearing in mind it was the Planet FPL Derby on Wednesday, there really was only one choice for me to get onto this podcast. I had to get a West Ham fan this week and I had to get someone in who's as silly and as stupid as Suj, but actually that person wasn't available. I've got someone in who's actually quite intelligent. This could be interesting. Let me introduce you to Luke Boarer. FPL Irons joins me. How are you, mate?
I'm very good, thank you, mate, and very nice introduction. You've said far worse about me before, so I'll take it.
Yeah, offline though.
Yeah.
I may have referred to you as something I'd rather not repeat when telling you that you should play Sky Fantasy Football this year. Luke, tell the listeners who you are, mate.
Just a West Ham fan that takes football a little bit too seriously. Yeah, I've been on. The funny thing is, I'm actually only on FPL Twitter because of you two. Got into fantasy football only about 4 years ago. Played it in my office after I finished uni. My manager at work was like, "There's no way you'll beat me at fantasy football. You've never even played." So I gave it a go. Listened to your pod, and I was like, "You know what? I'm going to join this Twitter thing." And the first time you ever replied to me, I was like, "Oh my god! James spoke to me. Can you believe it?" And it's honestly, anytime I do a pod or a stream or anything with you, I have massive imposter syndrome. Because to me, you're like Leonardo DiCaprio, you and Suj. It's ridiculous.
Have you seen my face, mate?
You're a beautiful man.
It's very humbling, also quite surprising. I'm quite taken aback by that. Good stuff. Do you have your own podcast or anything, Luke? Because where I first found you was on another podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, no. We stopped with that. The market just became too saturated. There's just the guys at the top, like you and Scout, etc. You're too good at what you do to try and break in. It was tough, and it was just we kind of stagnated, and we gave up on that one. And yeah, I did get told recently that I'd taken a year off. It was like, "Oh, you should really come back, Luke. You're taking a year off." It's like, no, nobody's invited me on anything. I didn't take a year off.
No. I'll make sure I don't do it again. I just thought I'd keep up appearances for you, mate, basically. Yeah. Right, let's talk. You're obviously referring to the Wolfpack podcast. Obviously, Andy disappeared and went off and done Scout, mate. Didn't take you with you, no?
Obviously, to be honest, I don't think I'm PC enough on Twitter. I think I go around using F-bombs and whatever and started arguments too often to get into anything like that.
I also suffer with this problem. Right. How's your FPL season going, mate? I mean, it's 5 weeks down, and we're obviously going to talk about the game week 5 games today. How you doing?
Doing okay. About 400k, 91 points this week. Took a -4 though, so 87. I played it relatively safe at the start with a few differentials. Got Pascal Gross the week before when he got his 11 points, so quite happy with that. Took a -4 for Perisic this week, just with the Reece James news. I thought if there's one guy that can make up -4 in defence, it's probably Perisic. So I thought I'd give it a go. Also, I just want him in my team. If he starts against Fulham or Leicester, I can see some points coming his way. So it felt like a good move. But outside of that, the only real letdown has obviously been those Liverpool defenders. I went for Trent and Robbo over Trent and Diaz. And that's not gone my way, but I'm happy to hold Robbo for Everton and Wolves. Should come good, hopefully.
Okay. We ranked at the moment?
About 400k.
Good stuff. Points this week?
Yeah, 91.
Nice.
Went for Haaland captain. I think Emma jumped the wave, helped me on that one. People were pretty sure that he was going to be starting, so that made the decision quite easy for me. And to be honest, with the 2 hat-tricks he scored, they've come in 30 minutes, 40 minutes from the first goal to the last goal. So even if he does come on for half an hour, he could quite easily get you 16 points off the bench, couldn't he, in 25 minutes? So I'm a bit confused what I'm going to do this weekend, to be honest, because I desperately want to go for Haaland again, but it doesn't seem wise.
No, we'll talk about that. Yeah, I'm of a similar opinion to you. My week nowhere near as good. Also ended up -4, taking Perisic in for Reece James, which I wouldn't say is regrettable because I'm pleased that Ivan's there, although I'm also not convinced that he'll start tomorrow. 77 -4 for myself. Haaland captain, Jesus return, Andreas Pereira return, some assist that with the aid of Lewis Dunk. Cancelo 12, Martinelli 10. Made up my game week, really. Just to let you know how the boss is doing, Mr. Sujan Shah, because he's always in for a bit of criticism. 86 points from Suj this week. The difference between him and me, essentially, he's got Mo Salah. And that's put another 10 points on top of his total this week. Suj is 180k at the moment.
Nice.
He's doing really well. I don't suppose it will last. I'm 1.5 million and about 30 points behind him. Challenge is accepted and challenge is on. There's a long way to go up. I wouldn't take too much notice of ranks at the moment. Do you feel it's important at this stage?
No, the first, it's why I tend to try and play it relatively. Like I would never have gone without Salah just to play it safe. I like to just keep plugging along, make sure that I don't fall too far behind, get the data in my head, look at what's going on, and then try and, as I say, Pascal Gross last week is someone I wouldn't have got in game week 1, but after watching the games, someone that I can take punts on. I feel like it's just safe at the start to get your Salahs and Haalands over Kanes and Sons, etc. But that's just because I'm incredibly boring.
Okay. We'll talk about captaincy this week in a bit. I think when we get on to Man City, we'll probably debate whether it's worth going with Haaland again. Yeah, let's get onto that in a little bit. Let's go through these games. Want to get through them. We'll start in order they were played. So we'll go Palace and Brentford was 1-1 on Tuesday night. And this is where I'd normally introduce Luke in to say, give his opinion. But Luke didn't watch this game and I did. So I'm just going to fire away, actually. I really enjoyed this. I'd messaged you and said, what games are you going to watch? And you messaged back saying, Leeds/Fulham. And I was like, you bastard. I'll pick up the short straw on this. Because I wasn't keen on watching Chelsea play at Southampton on that pitch. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go with Palace and Brentford. Let's say that would be useful for the FPL listeners, wouldn't it? With Palace in the difficult run of fixtures. This is their only decent one. So I was going to flick between that and the Chelsea game. But I ended up just sticking with this. It was really, really enjoyable. And I actually got a bit vexed watching Gary Lineker on Wednesday night. I actually watched it back yesterday. The end of match day was like, oh yeah, it was 0-0 last year. It was a bit better this year. I was like, no, actually, this was a really good game. What it didn't have was like mass drama of huge amount of goal scoring opportunities. But both teams played at a really good tempo. And there was some interesting tactical stuff from both sides. So Palace played with more of a 4-1-4-1 with Decore really deep and the midfield four really pushing high in front of that off of Mateta to try and make it difficult for Brentford to play through. But Brentford managed to do it really well in the first half, actually. Jensen played really well for Brentford. They played a 4-3-3. And I was quite impressed because like Norgard was unavailable for them and he's so key for them. Janelt played as the sitting player for them. It was a really good game. Which was probably right that he went in about 0-0 at half time because it weren't a huge amount of chances, but it was just played with a really good vibe. Then Palace took over in the second half. Elise hit the post. Zaha got a wonderful goal. He's bang on it at the moment. And they were in complete control. And yet, in the last 5 minutes, they should have lost the game because after Brentford equalised, which Palace invited a bit of pressure. You've probably seen the Wilfred Zaha interview. He wasn't very happy. They went to a back five and they brought Tyreek Mitchell on. Joe Ward had started at left back, which obviously isn't going to keep. And last, Mitchell got a bit of a knock at Man City, I believe. So I'm sure Mitchell will come back in. But they brought him on, went to a back five right at the end, invited pressure. And yet Visser ends up with a completely free header to equalise. From there, Toney played in Rico Henry, should have won the game. He was great, by the way, Rico Henry, particularly in the first half. He's got such an engine on him. And then Ben Mee hit the crossbar as well. From a header. So Palace were in a position where they looked certain to pick up the win. And then by the end, we're probably a little bit relieved to get out of there with the draw. How are you feeling about Zaha as an option at the moment?
He's always an option, isn't he? I think as you say, we just need to wait for a better run of fixtures. Although he's proved that doesn't really matter at the start of the season. None of us were going to touch him, were we?
No.
It's difficult. It's difficult with Wilf because he is one of these players that stats don't really matter. He is one of these players where I do think form massively matters to him, where his headspace is. The goal the other day was brilliant. And that's what he can do. It's also difficult when he gets marked out of games. I think if you mark him out of the game, you're going to struggle. But the positive thing with Palace these days is they do have better players around him. There are more talented players with the likes of Eze and Elise now. I rank Mateta as well. Doucouré as a defensive midfielder, I think he's very tidy. So you can't just mark Zaha out of the game now, because Elise and Eze will hurt you. And that is something that Palace have had an issue with for the last probably 4 or 5 seasons, is stop Zaha, stop Palace, and that won't be the case anymore. So I'm more than happy to jump on Zaha, given that he's on penalty. Well, hopefully he's on penalties. Obviously missed a few when the run turns, but not in the near future. The run is pretty horrific over the next few.
No, and just a note on that, on Elise's 5.5, who I think is the sort of player you always kind of, we'd be quite nice if I knew he was going to play regularly. The fact that some of them upcoming fixtures are quite difficult, it means there's every chance that Jordan Ayew will come back in. Vieira really likes him as a defensive wide player, which obviously offers balance where they can overload the left side with Wilf and stuff. So no guarantee that he would continue playing. What would you say to Toney owners at the moment? Obviously a lot dived in, particularly ahead of Everton. Blank should have scored in that game and should have assisted in this one. But the reality is it's 2 point and 1 point, while the bloke across West London at a similar price keeps scoring in Alexander Mitrovic, and a lot are making that move. What would you advise, Luke?
Yeah, we saw it last night, didn't we? Toney dropped in price, Mitrovic went up in price. Toney transferred out by 300k, Mitro in by 300k. I think you people that bought Toney bought him for a reason. They had a nice run of games, as you say, quite easily. In another world, he has a goal and an assist. You're quite happy with those returns. What's he got? Leeds at home, Southampton away in the next 2.
Yeah, well, Mitrovic has Tottenham away and Chelsea at home. Doesn't really make sense, does it?
No. I think this can be the problem sometimes with fantasy managers, and especially when you're early into playing fantasy, your emotions can get the better of you. And I think sometimes you have to take a step back and remember why you made a transfer. You did it for a reason. At Leeds, Southampton, you couldn't ask for much better than that, really. Leeds obviously slightly better this season, but you'll expect him to get chances. Also, as you say, he's so creative. He can get you assists and goals, talisman, penalties. It's great. And, Mitrovic, I fancy him to score goals in the next 2. I think he's a good player, but you bet on Toney over Mitrovic to get 10 to 15 points across 2, wouldn't you?
Look at it and say, look, there's every chance Mitrovic will score against Tottenham. There's every chance he'll score against Chelsea because it's clear talisman.
Yep.
But as will Toney be for Brentford. I'd just look at it and go, how bad can it be? If you stick with Toney versus Mitrovic over the next 2, how big can Mitrovic go off really in those 2 fixtures?
Agreed.
Could he score in both? Yeah. But I'd stick with Toney. I think if you've gone there, yeah, it's what I like to say to people. Why did you go in the first place? Oh, yeah, I like those 4 fixtures or so. Well, give it the 4 fixtures.
Exactly.
Would be my take. I think different circumstances this week, he'd have returned in both games and people wouldn't be moving off. I understand why people are moving off because Mitrovic does look great. I just wouldn't be diving to make that exact move right now, personally. Fulham and Brighton, I understand you watch, Luke. So come on in. Planet FPL tactical insight. Off you go.
Yeah, when you sent me that message, I did feel a bit bad because I think Fulham Brighton definitely was the most interesting game. Brighton have obviously started the season really well. Fulham just an interesting side. I think they've made life difficult for Liverpool and Arsenal in some big games. The thing that I'm most impressed by Fulham for is the fact that they've stuck to their guns. They scored 106 goals last season. They're obviously a good side. And they haven't done what they've done in, when they came up, what was it, 4 seasons ago now, when they just bought a load of players for the sake of it. Marco Silva's trusted the players that bought him up. He's added to the spine, of course, with Pereira, Palhinha and Leno. But outside of that, the core is still there. And they play fantastically well. And it's the press. The fact that if you said to an average Premier League fan that watched Mitrovic over the years, you're going to get Mitrovic in a pressing style and he is going to give everything for the team, you wouldn't have believed it. But he has bought into this style of football because he knows if he presses with the rest of the side, they can cause teams problems and he's going to get chances off the back of it. His heat map the other day was hilarious. He had a big clump at right back at the end of the game, he was defending because they brought Mitoma on, and he was Brighton were looking quite dangerous with him, got a lot of pace, and Mitrovic was just using his strength up against this little guy, and it worked really, really well. And it's not something that you would have thought you would have seen from this Fulham side. Pereira as well, I think, is a perfect signing. Yeah, he can play as the 10. He's good going forward. Got a lovely delivery. But he works so hard. But they basically look like they're playing a 4-4-2 out of possession. Pereira's up there with Mitrovic. I'm intrigued by the signings they brought in. I think Dan James is an intelligent signing again. Someone with an engine, a lot of pace. He'll work very, very well for them. Bielsa brought him in for a reason at Leeds, didn't he, for the same sort of thing. So I'm intrigued by them, and I'm happy they've stuck to their guns and they're playing the way we know they can play. It was an off night for Brighton, that's for sure. First half they were quite poor. Came out second half, obviously made a few mistakes, let Mitrovic in at the back post. The own goal is just a free own goal.
Yeah.
Well, I say it's a free. Dunk does it every other game, but
I had him. Was it the first year they come up? I think he had 3 own goals. I had all of them.
Yeah, I think he got an own goal in his debut, didn't he?
That's right.
Yeah. This is the issue with Dunk. I think he fights so hard sometimes and sticks his leg out. You are going to get a lot of own goals, just as many own goals you get goals.
There was a freak one, wasn't it?
Yeah, but this is the thing with Pereira as a 4.5. It's an absolute gift because you don't get any bonus for an assist like that, but he still got us 1 bonus, 6 points. The amount of crosses he puts into the box, if he ever gets you a return, you're looking at 7 to 11 points every week if he gets you.
Is that why he's getting in the bonus? Because that's 2 games now. He's obviously had an assist and got in the bonus, which is that's great. Because I mean, even the Brentford games, 5 goals in the Brentford games, 3 goals in this one. Admittedly, there's no clean sheets for anyone, so that's helpful. But in games like this, we're just getting an assist and he's getting a bonus. Is that what it's down to? Chance creation?
Has to be. I think, and the way he played the other day, you could see it was all about getting the ball to him. He's got a lot of quality, obviously. I think we struggled to see it at Manchester United because he was surrounded by a lot of talent and didn't really get a run of games at any point. But he's making this team tick. And I said whoever Fulham bought at this number 10 spot was going to be good value. And then when I saw that it was Pereira at 4.5, it's ridiculous. And I think if you're wildcarding around game week 8, you could quite easily put him in as your 11th man at 4.5 and try and get, add a Sterling to your Salah and Haaland, like upgrade your 11, because he'll tick along. I think over the course of game week 8 to the World Cup, he'll probably average 4 to 5 points, which is solid enough. Maybe a goal and 2-3 assists, couple of bonus. He'll be great value at 4.5.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think that period of sort of game week 8 to 14 that they've got, they finished with the 2 Manchester clubs before the World Cup. You could absolutely conceivably start him in all of them. Yeah, almost ideal first sub scenario as we're coming into kind of Champions League period and stuff. But yeah, I think you could even set up your team and say, yeah, do you know what? I'm starting him regularly. Yeah. And I think we're almost at a position with him to say, what's the worst case? I look at this week and go, I've potentially got a Perisic problem, which I'll come on to. If Pereira ends up playing for me at Tottenham, the way Mitrovic is playing at the moment, there's every chance they can score, and he'll assist Mitro. There's every chance. Yep. So if he ends up playing, is that the worst? Chelsea have been shocking last couple of away games, haven't they? Is it the worst if he plays against them in 7? No, he's a super asset. I feel like of all the players in the game, I can't understand how anyone wouldn't have him at the moment.
No, and this is the problem. Obviously, people say that they price the game quite poorly, and the fact that you can obviously get 11 players from the top 6, it's the bench that makes it so easy. Neco Williams and Pereira, obviously De Silva's now dropped out, but other 4.5s will emerge, cheap strikers will emerge. It's become so easy to get a strong team and also have quite a nice bench to back it up. You can go very small at the back, but small on the bench, but small on the bench can still get you a lot of points. Pereira's come off the bench for me now twice and got me 14 points in 2 game weeks. You couldn't ask for much better.
Yeah, the only case I could say for people not to have is if people have gone with a really beefy 5 where they've got Salah, De Bruyne, Diaz, Bowen, and perhaps a Martinelli, something like that. And I go, fine. But generally speaking, I'd probably be looking to downgrade one of them
Yeah, exactly.
to his area, I think, anyway. And you look at people like Mitrovic, move that up to from your 4.5 forward or something. I understand Brighton started with a back three and it didn't last very long. And they went to a back four quite early. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's testament to Fulham. They within about 10 minutes, and that's what Potter's fantastic at, isn't it? And what this team is great at. So many of them can play in 2, 3, 4 positions, and quite easily it can change up. Well, they started supposedly in a 3-5-2 with Trossard and Gross up top, but it was more of just like a 3-7-0.
Yeah.
And then quite quickly became a 4-4-2. I think they've got some issues there with that striker position, as they always do. My only thinking on it is the fact that Potter maybe fancies Undav to come through and offer some support to Welbeck.
But then why didn't he play at Fulham?
And this is
the perfect opportunity, really.
Yeah, but they were 2 goals down, and they brought Welbeck on instead of Undav. I think Undav came on with 5 minutes to go when they really were just punting it in, trying to create. He must fancy him. But Potter's an intelligent manager. They spent 10 million yesterday on Gilmour. I'd like to think with the funds there, they would have bought a striker in if he felt he needed it.
I think he would rather, it feels to me, he'd rather, have Trossard at the top of that, or even push Mwepu even higher as quite a powerful option as well. It's a huge risk because they've started this season really well. And people will I've spoke about it a lot on the pods already. So I mean, Danny Welbeck, he's unbelievable for them in terms of the off the ball stuff. That have had moments of trouble. They've been going far more direct. I think that's part why the system changed in game the other day. Oh shit, we haven't got that out ball. We have to go a lot shorter and stuff. He's obviously going to come back in the team for Leicester. But more the point is, over the next 3-4 months until January, Danny Welbeck is not going to stay fit, is he? Because he just never does. I hope for Brighton that he does. I think he's a very good option for them, and I don't even think he'd be the worst FPL option if he stayed fit. But he won't.
No, I was shocked they didn't use him. As I say, with the Fulham press being so good, I was shocked they didn't have that out ball. It was a real problem for them the other day, and unfortunately, I think Brighton are going to end up in a position similar to West Ham, where 2 seasons ago, we sold Haller in January, didn't bring anyone to back up Antonio. He picked up an injury, and a season that could have become probably our best in history and end up in the top 4. We had no one. I think we ended up playing Lingard up top, Bowen up top, Ben Rama as a false 9. I think, unfortunately, Brighton will go from battling for top 6 and probably fall off to mid-table like they always do, unfortunately.
They'll have that spell, won't they? The 10 games without a win at some point, which I'm looking at them playing Liverpool in 9 and Tottenham 10, and I'm thinking, can you start around about there? It would be quite nice, actually. Just before we finish off, you're quite right to note, obviously, they've completed the sign of Billy Gilmour. I think what's really impressive about Fulham's start as well is the injuries they had to Solomon's out for 7 months.
Yep.
Played like 15 minutes against Liverpool. We're not going to see him. Harry Wilson's been out injured. Cabano missed the game against Brentford. Jay Stansfield played. They have added 4 new players yesterday. You mentioned Daniel James. They've also added former Chelsea and Arsenal midfielder Willian. Levin Kurzawa is a left-back joined from Paris Saint-Germain. And the brilliant Carlos Vinicius, not to be confused with the Real Madrid forward, who had a loan spell at Tottenham, who Tottenham had an option to buy for £40 million after his 1-year loan from Benfica, has joined the club for, I believe, £4.3 million. They did need a backup option of the mould of player of Mitrovic, which is obviously almost impossible to replicate. Vinicius will be that. James, I think you're right. I think it'd be a good signing for them, actually.
Agreed.
I'm not saying as an FPL option because he is the ultimate crapid, but I think that's a good signing for them. Kurzawa obviously will offer competition to Robinson at left back. Willian will have to work hard to oust the work rate of Cabano or Deco over Reed at the moment, assuming James will oust one of them. That would be my take. Really good start from them. Fulham fans should be delighted. Southampton 2, Chelsea 1. What happened here to Chelsea, Luke?
They're not at it yet, are they? I'm not. I mean, I'm intrigued, obviously,
A
by
bit
the
like you,
signing.
bit like your lot. It only turned up against Tottenham.
We always do, don't we? But I'm intrigued to see how Aubameyang fits in. They look like they need somebody that they need somebody up top. They need a presence, that's for sure. I'm just not sure they know what their best 11 is currently. Obviously, those midfield injuries affects them massively. Did they get Zakaria over the line last night?
Yes, signed.
They did. Yeah. That will help them. But again, he's not played a massive amount. They just don't look at it. You could tell it from the first game of the season against Everton. They really struggled to create anything. If I think they could have played for hours without scoring a goal from open play. Sterling looks great, but he's just going to get into positions, isn't he? That's what he does. I really can't put my finger on what the problem is there at all. The only game they've looked half decent in was against you.
Yeah, I mean, they were very good against us.
Very good.
They played from what it looks like to me a 4-2-2-2 shape.
Yeah,
which they have had some success with, actually, ironically, particularly against Tottenham, where they create this box shape in midfield. I think it didn't help that they set up that way, and Southampton probably surprised them themselves by picking 3 in midfield, which limited the impact that it had on the game. Seeing Ziyech in the team was a big surprise, because I was under the impression he was probably going back to Ajax as Anthony's replacement. Then he was linked with us bizarrely yesterday morning. So that was really left field. They've got to go back to a back 3, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so.
James at wing back, and I know obviously missed the game through illness and stuff. They've got to get on with it, haven't they? Yeah,
I completely agree. Obviously the signings help. Fofana will help massively, won't he?
Yeah.
They've got to get back to what they're good at. James and Cucurella will be fantastic FPL options when they get back to that. It's just that they are struggling, even if they go to a back 3. The midfield protecting them at the moment with the injuries they've got, it will be the issue. I'm intrigued to see how they work it with. If they go to a back 3, Havertz will probably have to drop out, I assume, if they're going to be starting Aubameyang up top, Mount off the left of him, Sterling to the right.
I saw a very interesting conversation on Twitter between our Wolves correspondent, and I don't know, he's one to talk when his team never scores, Bradley Park, and our Chelsea correspondent, Gary Mantle, where Bradley called Kai Havertz the German Shane Long. And Gary now can't get it quite out of his head. And we've not been, Havertz obviously clearly is a very good footballer, but he's not going to get returns. You look at Aubameyang coming in, you think, if they go back to 3 at the back, which I still think is Tuchel's favoured, and go to, if he's got Fofana, Silva and Koulibaly, it's great back 3. It's Cucurella or Chilwell left wing back, Reece James right wing back. Looks great as. They're obviously missing, Kovacic isn't fully fit. Kante's obviously out probably till after the international break. You bring that back in, and then what? Mount behind Sterling and Aubameyang?
Yeah. And I think that's a great 11, isn't it?
Well, that's great, doesn't it?
It's a hell of an 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, Havertz is just one of these players, isn't he? That I'm struggling to understand exactly. As you say, he works hard. He's Shane Long, but what would they buy him for? 60, 70 million? He's highly rated. He's well regarded. He's not shown enough quality over a long period of time for me to understand what the hype's about.
I know there's a player in there. I just don't think it's a player based on reliability of him being the main source of goal scoring. And look, it's worth saying, Sterling scored in the last couple, basically playing as a centre forward. I don't know if that's going to last with Aubameyang coming back, because it could be that Sterling and Mount players kind of outside 10s, if you will, with Aubameyang through the middle of that. That's far more how Aubameyang played under Tuchel's Dortmund, where you had Marco Reus and Henrik Mkhitaryan played behind him, and they were a super back, top 3 back then. So I think Tuchel's experience of Aubameyang isn't, I'm going to stick him on the left wing. His experience is he's going to be the number 9. He's taken that shirt, the cursed shirt, and he's going to play up front. What price would, at the time of recording, we don't have a price. I'm sure there will be one probably by the time you've listened to it. We haven't got it at the moment. What price would Aubameyang have to come in at that would make your jaw drop?
It's an interesting one, because I like the look of Chelsea around the time most people will wildcard game week 8, game week 9. Actually, no, game week 9, they play Liverpool in game week 8. If Aubameyang came in at 9, I think I think I'd struggle to overlook it, to be honest. I think he's the sort, as I say with Pereira, if you were to get him in as your 11th man and have a bit more money, you could easily take a punt on a player like Sterling or Aubameyang, and Chelsea are one that I'm looking at potentially going for. I think 9 would be nice. As we say, if Chelsea have that 11 players on the pitch, they're going to be strong. Over that run of games, they could get you a lot of points, those front three.
Good day. I'm looking at that run from 9. Palace away, Wolves at home, Villa away. Probably going to be new manager, I think, by then. Brentford away. Is it that good a run? It's worth saying the other top teams all have really difficult runs.
That's the thing. I think Chelsea are the one that you can target and hope for. If you're hoping for some sort of differential from the top echelon of prices, I think Chelsea are the one to, between game week 9 and the World Cup, they're the sort of ones you could probably punt on. And we'll see how Aubameyang fits in.
Yeah, it would be a struggle to make a case for him over Nunes if he was that sort of price. And also, it's still $1 million more than Jesus, who is still going to take on this talismanic nature up front for Arsenal. I mean, it's worth saying the 3 difficult fixtures that Arsenal have, Tottenham, Liverpool, Man City, between 9 and 12, are all at the Emirates. So, they'll certainly be very tough games for their opponents as well. Word for Southampton, because I think what's very different about this fixture for Chelsea in comparison to the Leeds fixture was, and this is what almost makes it more surprising, Chelsea started quite well. Sterling scored, so they got themselves in a good position. You don't expect Chelsea to lose the game from 1 up and be in a position of control. And yet in the second half, I don't think Chelsea had a shot on target till Boarer came on and had a header quite late in the game. As I said, Saints went to more of a 4-3-3, and this might stick. The only thing is, obviously, Lavia has picked up potential hamstring injury, and Oriol Romeo has been sent out on loan to Girona. That makes me think the Lavia injury is probably not too bad, but certainly likely to keep him out of a couple, probably at least sort of the Wolves Brentford fixtures, I should imagine. They might go with a 3 in there. Diallo played. They've added Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who apparently is a player, Ralph Hasenhüttl was wanted for a long time because he can play a multitude of positions. Adam Armstrong, from what I've seen of the game, quite impressed on the left-hand side. I thought he was decent against Manchester United as well, where perhaps the onus of him being this player who's got to run in behind and score goals has not been working for him. There's a little less pressure on him now. They've got deepness in their squad. They've also added Coletta Carr, who's a player who's been heavily linked with Tottenham over the last couple of years, although not this summer, from Marseille as another centre-back. Bella Kotchap was outstanding against United. All the reports are he was very good against Chelsea again. We've got 2 more kids in from Manchester City. Juan Larios is a player I must confess to know very little about, but I know there's high hopes of Samuel Edozie. And I think is that 4 kids have bought from Man City? With Bazunu and Lavia as well, who've obviously gone straight into the team. We saw last year Livramento go straight into the team when they bought him from Chelsea. Saints feel like they've had a strong window, but most won't see it that way from the outside, actually. If Bella Kotchap can maintain the performances he's been showing in the last couple, I think they're going to be all right.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a market people don't tap into enough. Enough is, there's a lot of under 21, under 23 development games going on. City seem to do very, very well with their youth teams.
And Chelsea, to be fair.
And Chelsea. And there's players in there that can, you can bring. Lavia, unbelievable player, looks very, very strong. And as you say, Bella Kotchap looks great. Bazunu's been a brilliant signing. I've been really impressed by him in goal. He looks very assured, and that's an area that Southampton have had problems for years, isn't it? We never knew. Southampton had a nice run of games. You didn't know which goalkeeper to buy because you didn't know which one would stay in the team, who would move in, who would move out. I think it's a really impressive window, and they signed it off nicely on deadline day with a few good signings.
I'm not convinced on him yet, by the way. I know he's going to be a very good goalkeeper, Bazunu, and he's definitely better than what they had. Yeah. I'm not overly convinced on him yet, though, I must say. But no, really good. On Lavia, he's going to be a miss for him. The kindest thing I could say, it's very obvious. When you watch him, he really does need some reminding that he's 18.
Yes. Yeah.
He doesn't stand out that he's young, nothing in terms of physically or the way he plays. He's head above really good. That's actually turned out to be a decent start for them. They've got a few okay fixtures: Wolves, Brentford, Villa, Everton. No interest yet, though, is there, from an FPL perspective?
No, I did have a look. I thought that they're a nice run of games, but no, not for me quite yet. And I don't even know who you'd potentially go for. Potentially one of the wing backs if they go to a back three, but not for me yet.
What's your take on Reece James? Is it quick getting back, or because it's worth saying? Obviously, he only missed the game with illness.
Yeah. No, I as I mentioned at the start, I like to take a step back and I sold him for a reason. A -4 for Perisic in the hope that Perisic might haul at some point. The reason I sold him is because I think before my wild card around game week 9, I don't see him keeping a clean sheet. I don't see a clean sheet against West Ham, Fulham away, or Liverpool. So, he might get an assist, might get a goal, but I'll take the punt against him at the current moment in time just for 3 weeks.
It's worth saying, it's every chance. He's obviously still 6.1. He might overnight drop down to 6.0. It looks like, because although most of us know he's going to be back available, the wider game just sees, and particularly all the robots, 0-pointer, transfer him out, combinations, all this sort of jazz. So he could well drop tonight back to 6.0. I went to Perisic. I've got 0.4 in the bank, would allow me potentially to go straight back. And should I get news that Perisic isn't in the team, I might. Partly as well because I'm thinking, I'm looking more and more at this wildcard game week 8 idea, actually.
Yeah.
And therefore, I am making really short-term decisions. Therefore, if Perisic is not starting against Fulham and it's Man City away next week, as much as I wanted him, the more I'm thinking about game week 8, I'm thinking, might be able to leave that. But I wouldn't want to be without Perisic if he does play against Fulham tomorrow. Okay. Right. What's next? There was another game on Tuesday night, which you watched, didn't you, Luke? No, you didn't really.
Well,
Leeds
I watched the
versus
last
Everton.
15.
Finished 1-1. What did we make from this?
There's not really much to take from it. From the highlights that I watched, it looked quite a cagey one. Leeds are just a different side now, aren't they? That you can't look at them in the same way you've looked at them in previous seasons. It's difficult to spot who the real talents are. Rodrigo obviously picked up an injury that's going to, I think, 4 weeks he's out for. So
yeah, you're looking at least game week 9 would be the word. So if you own, and he was the most bought player going into the game week, it is a definite sell.
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about Aronson. He picked up an assist, but for me, I think outside of the free goal he got against Chelsea, his stats aren't particularly impressive. I like him as a player. I don't think he's an FPL asset quite yet. I think if I were to ever go for Leeds, it would be one of those wingers, Harrison or Sinisterra, once he's nailed in the team. They look great.
Sinisterra, isn't he?
He is. I'm assuming they rate him. Obviously, FPL Towers rated him highly, but yeah, when they priced Martinelli up at 6 and Sinisterra, who's never been anywhere near a Premier League side, gets 6.5 for Leeds. This is the problem, isn't it? With the way they price things up, it's so difficult to take a punt on anyone. This guy looks good for Leeds. If they have a nice run coming up, you go, I could take a punt on him. You can't logic that in your head, can you? Going for him when you can get Rashford for less, Martinelli for less, Alvarez at City for less. It's tough. It's tough to take any sort of fun punts.
I mean, his numbers in the Eredivisie last year, and listen, we shouldn't overly compare that to the Premier League, were great. That's why he got this hefty price of 6.5. Just, I think you've absolutely nailed it in comparison to Martinelli at the moment. I can't really make the case. You could say, but Leeds have got a good 2, and Arsenal go to United this week. Arsenal got Everton home next week. So I don't see where he would be top of the agenda. That said, Rodrigo owners are obviously looking for a replacement. I think if it was me, I'd rather come down to Aronson if I wanted to stay within Leeds. But it's every case I'd look elsewhere. Did you go there yourself, Luke?
No, luckily I had the decision between Rodrigo and Gross, and I went Gross just for the fixtures. I didn't, the week I made that transfer, game week 4, Leeds were obviously away at Brighton. Brighton had Leeds at home. So I think for the 3 to 4 game weeks I was looking at, I preferred Groves.
Okay. Different setup from Everton looked to me like more of a 3 in midfield, became very much a 4-5-1. Shout out for Dwight McNeil, who had an absurd amount of pressures off the ball. I mean, it was about 25 more than any other Everton player during the game, which blew my mind a little bit. They've bought Ghana and Ghana to join Onana, and there's got to be a song here somewhere, isn't
Has
there?
to be.
So they went three in midfield, which was Onana, Davis, and Iwobi. McNeil and Gordon played in the wide areas. Gray played up front. Gordon got another great goal, and he put one on a plate ready for Patterson, who could have won the game and hesitated. So despite the fact Leeds dominated a lot of this, Everton had moments as well, actually. And obviously it's a back four, and there's always concern about Connor Cody in the back four. The Wolves fans tell us that all the time. Seems like him and Tarkowski, enough experience there. If you're going into a low block, it won't be too much of a problem if you're asking them to defend the box. It might become more of an issue when the onus is on Everton, perhaps in certain fixtures, which, to be honest with you, looking at Everton's fixture list makes you want to cry for them. Liverpool, Arsenal, West Ham, Southampton away, Manchester United, Tottenham, Newcastle is their next 7. You could not make a case for any Everton players in FPL, although I don't hate the idea of Gordon at 5.5 as a potential talismanic option. But we've obviously got these new midfielders to come into the team and Neil Maupay to come into the team. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has a very outside chance of making the bench at the weekend. So what Everton look like now might look quite different in a couple of weeks. So I just couldn't make the case to go there. And if I owned Patterson and I didn't own Nico Williams, I'd be strongly considering I was going to make that move right now.
Yeah. No, that's. I'm intrigued to see how Everton get on. I don't rate Lampard as a manager, but I think they've got a solid squad there.
The West Ham fan.
The funny thing is, I quite liked him as a player. I just don't rate him as a manager. I didn't dislike him as a player at all. I just think he's massively overrated by the English media.
Says the West Ham fan. Did you hear about this Neil Maupay story, by the way?
Oh, it's I was talking to my mate about it yesterday, and I can't believe that in an industry like the Premier League, where what was he signed for? 12, 15 million? A 12 million pound asset can't get registered over the weekend because it's a bank holiday.
It's absolutely incredible. So for those who don't know, Neil Maupay, what they were trying to do, they were trying to register Maupay in time so he could play at Brentford in game week 4. So they missed the 12 o'clock deadline for that. They didn't get him registered to about 4 o'clock. Fine. The Leeds game's not till Tuesday. You don't think there's a problem, right? But of course, in the UK, it was a bank holiday. And the Premier League on Monday, the Premier League rules state that for a player to be eligible, they have to be registered by 12 o'clock on the previous working day. So the previous working day to the game on the Tuesday was the Friday. And because everyone didn't register him until 4 o'clock, it meant he couldn't play at Leeds, which is, I mean, come on, man. I'm sure even Leeds would have gone, it's all right, let him play. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous how exactly what you said. And of course, in our industry as well, most of the football happens at the weekend.
Yes.
Is literally no one man in the office or anything. I get it. The idea of, say you signed a player at 11 a.m. on a Saturday morning and the game's on the Sunday. I kind of get that because you're kind of in the game week has started, if you will. But yeah, that was absurd that they couldn't play Maupay, and I can understand Everton's frustration with that. Leeds have also signed a forward, Wilfried Gnonto, who I don't know a lot about, 18-year-old forward. He's Italy's youngest ever goal scorer. So potentially going to put some pressure on that position up front. Bamford is fit, but he's not right as far as I'm concerned. It's going to take him a good while to get up some rhythm, which the Rodrigo injury might enforce. But even judging that by Tuesday night, they brought Gelhardt on first and then brought Bamford on later because they obviously thought he could only do 15, 20 minutes or so. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gelhardt starts at Brentford at the weekend. Right, moving on to the Wednesday games. Arsenal beat Aston Villa 2-1. What did we learn from this, Luke?
I think we learned that Gerrard's not got long left, unfortunately. Arsenal absolutely dominated them. Obviously, we don't expect Villa to get a result, but I'd like to see Villa impose themselves a bit more than they did. Arsenal look great. Obviously, they've had an easy start. They've had a good start, but picking up 15 points from possible 15 points in any period of the season, whoever you play, is great. And it's not just the fact they picked up the points, that they look very good. I think the system works well. Arteta's been in the job long enough now to get rid of the players he needs to get rid of, bring in the players he wants to bring in. He's implemented his style now, and they look very, very good. I've really enjoyed watching them. This was the first Arsenal game that I didn't actually get to watch live. But I think they've been very, very impressive, and they deserve to win this by a hell of a lot more than they did.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The battered Villa shouldn't have been in a position where they ended up having to try and force a winning goal. It didn't take them long to get it, but yeah, game should have been out of sight. If Arsenal had been 3 or 4 up at half time, Villa could not have complained from what I've seen of this. It's interesting. We obviously spoke to Adam Pritchard, our Arsenal correspondent at COTC yesterday, and yes, from the fixtures Arsenal have had, you would have expected them to get close to this total. As I said to him, once they'd beat Palace, you looked at the next 4 and would have expected maximum points. Yeah. I said, as soon as they beat Palace, I expect that when Tottenham go there in game week 9, that Arsenal is every chance to be top of the league. Yep. And that's possibly going to be very dependent on their results against United and Brentford and what Manchester City do over the next 3 as well. But they're in contention, made a great start. Absolutely right. It wouldn't matter if they played Leicester at home 5 times. You still got to beat them 5 times. So great start from them. How do you see this for their assets, Luke? Once we get to this period where, I mean, you could even almost include Brentford away in game week 8 as a difficult game, considering how they performed against the big 6 last season. Tottenham at home, Liverpool at home, Leeds away. We've just said, think of them different. No one's battering Leeds anymore by the looks of it. Nope. And Manchester City at home in 12. What's your take on the likes of Martinelli and Jesus? Is it just a case of they're too good value, hold on to it, or do you look at wildcard in that period and going, I'll look at alternatives for that little short period?
I think it's hard. I think it's hard. Even if on my game week 9 wildcard we had City away, Liverpool home, Chelsea away, Tottenham home, I think you'd struggle to get rid of them. I just think they've been priced so poorly. Obviously, FPL want to know that Martinelli would be guaranteed to be the left winger over Smith Rowe and play pretty much every minute. But 6 million for him is ridiculous. He looks
so is the 8 million for Jesus,
and then the 8 million for Jesus is even more insane. Obviously, we don't know who's on penalties yet. It could still well be Saka, but if either of those are on penalties, we saw Martinelli take one last season, and we saw, Jesus with the confidence he's got could quite easily take the ball. So if either of those if Martinelli had penalties, that's one of the most ridiculous prices we've ever had in FPL.
Hopefully,
at 6 million.
Hopefully we'll never find out. Hopefully I never get one.
I think that's incredibly unlikely from a Spurs fan. I don't think you think Arsenal aren't going to get a penalty all season. But yeah, I honestly don't think you could make a case for getting rid of either of them. It's like I say, but with regards to if Leeds had the perfect run, you wouldn't go Sinistera over Martinelli. You wouldn't go Paqueta at West Ham over Martinelli, even with perfect fixtures. It's tough.
At the same time, there's a lot of the game's too template and all that. Well, one way is to look at those Arsenal fixtures and go, I'm going to take it on. I'm going to take it on with someone like, I'm going to take Jesus on with someone like Alexander Isak, for example.
Yep.
And saving that little bit of money might put me a little bit closer to Martinelli, to Jared Bowen or James Maddison or Alan St. Maximin over that period where these guys could have a high ceiling, although they don't look like it at the moment, but because of the fixtures, it might turn. And you say, yeah, just on the fixtures, I'm going to take it on. I agree. It will be difficult to take on. But I think if I wildcard in game week 8, I will take it on. And I'll probably get rid of both, I think. Martinelli will be particularly difficult to get rid of, I think.
I think
cheap.
I think you could potentially make a case for Jesus just because there are talismanic strikers, especially around that point, that have some good games. Obviously, with the issue as well is the fact that although Arsenal have Europe, I don't see them playing any of these lot in those fixtures.
No, I mean they should absolutely. I know the concept of A team and B team it doesn't go down well, but that's absolutely what Arsenal should do in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, so basically these lot are basically going to have a week's rest, and coming up against the likes of Tottenham and Liverpool after you've wildcarded at home, when Tottenham and Liverpool will have had European games, probably, it's tough.
Yeah, the best thing you can do with the Europa is make sort of 8 changes or so, keep a little sprinkling so it probably just doesn't feel like a whole B team. So take Saliba for one of the games, for example, play Xhaka, keep a little feel of it so it doesn't just feel like a B team, and then rotate that. You did very similar last year, didn't you?
Yeah.
To be fair, where like Rice would play one game, so it wasn't just like a whole B team playing and stuff. Potential knocks for Ramsdale, Odegaard, worth keeping an eye on. Lokonga, by all accounts, played quite well. Xhaka is playing a little bit of a deeper role to compensate for that, it looks to me. So we are looking at more of a 4-2-3-1 at the moment. If they do pick up injuries, potential issues there, but they've made a great start. They have nothing to fear going to Manchester United at the weekend. For Villa, amazing transfer deadline day. I can't think of two more uninspiring signings than Leander Dendoncker and Jan Bednarek, who I think Bradley Parker and Matt Samuel, our respective Wolves and Southampton correspondents, were kicking them to Villa Park on their way. What's that all about?
I realise.
Dendoncker, I literally don't see what Bednarek I can get, because obviously Carlos got injured and you want some cover in the centre back position where they want 4 centre backs. Fine. Dendoncker, I literally don't see where that fits in.
I think it was cover. I think it was a replacement for Louise, who they then didn't get through the door. Yeah, I assume they wanted to sell him because 25 million for a player with 1 year left is quite good, and then it just didn't materialise. Yeah, very odd, because I think the issue that Villa have is that the midfield is too defensive anyway. I think Kamara and Louise is a very good double pivot, but you then play McGinn with them, and there's a real lack of creativity. Also, the fact they keep shoehorning Ings or Watkins kind of out wide in a 4-3-3 doesn't help. But maybe in game change it up to a 4-1-2-1-2 every so often. I don't think they know what their system is. I don't think they know how to get the best out of the attacking talent and creative talent of Bailey, Buendia, and Coutinho. It just looks to me like, unfortunately, Gerrard is a little bit out of his depth in the Premier League tactically.
Do you think that?
Yeah, I think he's a bit naive, unfortunately. The talent they've got, they should be probably higher in the league, but they should be performing better than they are. You look at the 11 they've got, it's strong, but you're putting players in the wrong places. The midfield's not creative. Cash and Dean, you're not particularly getting the best out of them from an attacking perspective either. They're the worst team I've seen West Ham play in the past 6 months when we played them. I tweeted saying the only reason West Ham won was because we were poor, but Villa were worse.
Worst last 6 months.
Yeah,
that's big. You played Norwich in April and May, mate.
Yeah,
you sure?
That's true. They give you a game, they get in your face, don't they? Villa don't even have that.
You won 4-0 there, mate.
No, I completely agree. But at least you know what I mean when I say a team will at least try and you could see something from Norwich last year. They tried to play a bit of football, tried to get in your face. I don't know what Villa's identity is. I have no idea what they're attempting to be as a team.
So, do you know what? When we get onto Leicester, I'm going to talk about Villa a little bit more because it's a bit of a spoiler for next week's Clash of Correspondents that I want to talk about. All I would say is at this moment, from an FPL perspective on Villa, I'd keep an eye on them purely because I think something could change.
Yeah.
And they do have a brilliant run of fixtures where you have that bounce. So what would you say to someone who's still sitting there with Leon Bailey, for example?
I'd assume if you've got Bailey, you maybe don't have Pereira. And I think you probably, that's an obvious. If you don't have Pereira, then
there's going to be teams with both, isn't there?
If you've got both, I think you just take a -4 and get rid of Robertson or get rid of someone to get some money and then spread it out. But yeah, but Bailey looked great in pre-season. 5 million, looked like he could be an option. I still think he's playing quite well. He's just got 10 other idiots around him that can't particularly do anything.
He did basically play up front in this.
Yeah.
Him and Watkins played a split forwards, it looks like to me. But yeah, I just couldn't be having it with Villa at the moment. They got a nice, easy game against Man City at the weekend to make them feel better. Bournemouth 0, Wolves 0. This is very difficult to cover off from a Bournemouth perspective. Other than to say it was very much a back four for them. And they struggled fitness-wise to deal with the pressure a little bit as the game went on. Wolves, from that perspective, was probably the ideal opponent because they can't Cows arse with a banjo, basically. Senesi was left out. They played Metham and Kelly as the centre backs, and had Tavernier and Christie basically supporting from the wide areas, with Solanke with Billing pushing up from a central position in front of Lerma and Cook. We don't know if Gary O'Neill's going to stay in charge for a little while. Sean Dyche remains the bookies' favourite to take that job. I don't suppose, despite decent fixtures, anyone's looking to buy Bournemouth. Neto did play in goal, very interestingly. Travers taken out, I guess, after the 9 goals conceded at Liverpool. For Wolves, would they ever score again, Luke?
They had some chances, didn't they? They definitely should have won this game. Jimenez just...
It feels like the better they play, the less likely they are to score. Is that how it looks?
Yeah, they do seem like the sort of side that when they, as you say, when they play badly, that's the sort of game where Neves or Moutinho come along with a 30-yarder that flies into the top corner and they get 1-0. They had some really good chances the other day and definitely should have won the game. The issue is, when you look at their team, it was before the game at your place, wasn't it? All of a sudden, you saw their starting lineup and you thought, oh, okay, this is a team now.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a side. And yeah, again, like Villa, the talent they've got on display there, they should be fine. But you look at it and you see the way they're playing, the fact that they look so poor in front of goal, they could end up being in trouble. They have to get 40 plus goals, and I don't know where they're coming from.
Sasa Kalicic has been bought from Stuttgart, a bit of a giant up front. Interesting price, 5.5. There is a case to say you wouldn't pay 0.5 for a Wolves attacking player at the moment. Big game at the weekend against Southampton, who will obviously be feeling good after their victory over Chelsea, because after that, Liverpool away, City at home, West Ham away, Chelsea away. They're winless so far. I think it's now 14 or 15 Premier League games without a win. I mean, how long does that go? If they don't win at the weekend, then that's potentially becoming 19. It can't go, can it? Manager's got to be under pressure there as well, isn't he?
Well, that's the thing. As you say, if they don't win that Southampton game, they aren't winning any of the next 4. So
West Ham away, game week 9, Luke. Come on, mate.
Great side. There's no way you're beating us at our place. What team?
He's got one goal in 3 home games, which I'd like to add was from an illegal throw-in, but please continue.
Oh God, we're gonna have fun when it gets to West Ham Spurs, aren't we? I can't see there ever have been a Premier League manager that's made it 20 games winless in the league and got through that patch. Like, I highly doubt that's ever happened before. So if he manages to not get sacked after 20 games without a win, that'd be fantastic.
They've got to win tomorrow.
They have to.
And I don't think they will.
No.
Tell you the truth. I think Kalicic will come in quite quickly for Jimenez, who I feel terrible talking about it every time. He's just not recovered from the injury.
No.
I think Nunes is really worth keeping an eye on at 5 million, actually. It's just the fixtures mean that you're probably not going to go there, but he hit the bar again on Wednesday night. Aït-Nouri's been left out the last 2, which makes us think that Johnny and Semedo are probably clear as the first choice fullbacks. They have a settled 11. I am gravely concerned for them if they start getting injuries to key players like Neves.
Yeah.
Really, really concerned. I think that's I think it's as big for them tomorrow as it is for any team this weekend. And I think Southampton are the sort of team who is very Jekyll and Hyde, but if they play to their best, might get something at Molineux.
Yeah.
And then I think you're going to hear about restlessness. Then what do you want to do? Do you want to bring a new manager into Liverpool, Man City? It's brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we saw it with Watford, didn't we, last year? With Ranieri came in just for a horrendous run. And you thought, well, they're not going to get any points. And as soon as they then didn't get any points, they just sacked him again. So I wouldn't want to bring in a Wolves manager ahead of that, get 4 losses in your first 4 games. It's just not good for the morale. I'd rather take the losses and then get the new bloke in.
Yep, there's a potential case for that, which means arguably they should be targeted more than you would normally say. Because you never feel like, I look at Salah at home to Wolves in 7, for example, and because City play Tottenham, Chelsea go to Fulham. I mean, you can make a case possibly even Jesus at home to Everton, maybe.
Yes.
But I think Salah at home to Wolves will be difficult to overlook. It might be better than it currently looks.
Yes,
Is
agreed.
all I'd say about that. Neto owners, is it one more game and go, or what's the plan in your opinion?
At what point are we going to sell him when he gets to 4.3 million? Like, he just keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. The issue is he might not even start. You know, they've got Guedes and Podence. There's no reason that he has to start if they want to change things up. Like you say, if you get Pelagic in, if they want to make wholesale changes to try and get a result, he might not even play at the weekend.
I'd be staggered if he didn't play, Luke.
No, I agree. I think he's obviously a talent, but you never know what's in the mind of a manager. As you say, 15 games without a win. If you just want to just make 5 changes for the fun of it, it's not guaranteed.
Right, the bit you've been waiting for: Manchester City 6, Nottingham Forest 0. Tweet of the week unquestionably goes to Johnny Pringlewell, Manchester City correspondent, who tweeted, "Captain Erling Haaland is like Captain Sergio Aguero on steroids." My God, mate. 9 goals in 5 games. Feels like it could have been more when I reflect on the Newcastle game, for example. You've seen him up close and personal, obviously opening day as well. How phenomenal is this player?
Yeah, well, when I watched the first game of the season, I obviously support West Ham. It's all because of my granddad. My granddad came around to my house to watch it, and he went, "Well, they've got this new Hurling guy. Who's this Hurling guy?" And I go, "Oh yeah, he's quite good. He is, granddad."
It's a bit handy.
And he goes, "So what's he like? Is he quick? Is he strong? Is he big?" Well, what's he about? And I went, "Yes,
all of them."
And he went, "Oh God, that don't sound good." And I went, "Yeah, just watch this." And he said, "You don't fancy us to get results?" I said, "No, granddad, this is not going to go well." And the funny thing is, he's so good. Nobody's even talking about the fact it was a perfect hat trick. It was a left foot, right foot header. Nobody was talking about that part.
Yeah,
he is. It sounds insane, but he is the best player I've ever seen that can stand still. He is so intelligent. When it seems like when everybody else is panicking, all the attackers are panicking, the defenders are panicking, he kind of gets in this zone where he will stand, he will spot what's going on, and he makes the perfect movement. Every goal, you could dissect every goal for 15 minutes and show how beautiful it is. Even the second goal he scored, where you think, "Oh God, that's a bit lucky." Foden gets tackled, the ball comes across. No, he spotted that ball could.
I mean, that felt like the revenge for Foden not passing to him in the Bournemouth and the Newcastle games, where this time Foden was absolutely right to shoot, got closed down, and then this time it popped to Haaland. There's another example of the 2 passes in those Bournemouth Newcastle games could have been another couple of goals for him. You stole my thunder a little bit there with a great comment on Haaland, because what I've realised watching back bits of the Forest game and the Palace game is, on Wednesday night when I was walking to the London Stadium, someone said that Haaland had like the physicality of Duncan Ferguson matched with the pace of Thierry Henry, which in itself is like, okay, this is a problem to try and deal with. And I'm not saying it's quite as quick as Thierry Henry, but that explosiveness over 5 yards is, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yes.
He'll be 2 yards clear of you, but you're still flat-footed. He has the spatial awareness and the understanding of a midfield player.
Yes.
Which is basically what you said. He's scanning his top level. If you look back on that goal that you've spoken about, the one where it breaks to him off of Foden, just watch him. Yeah. He's scanning everything all the time to know where to be, and that is elite, because that's like what midfielders are about to receive the ball do and stuff. He's almost faultless. I don't know what his fault is.
No,
he could smash every record going.
He's going to smash every record.
Just really, really hoping that he gets injured this weekend. So I don't wish ill harm. Just a couple of weeks, because I don't really want to see him at the Etihad next Saturday against Spurs. My God, I don't know how you stop him. How do you stop him?
You can't. And this is as I say about my granddad. He stood up at the end of the 90 and just went, "Well, we weren't getting anything today, were we? That bloke's ridiculous." And I said, "Yeah, no, I completely agree." There is no way to stop him, because if you drop off, he's going to run at you, and he'll find us some space. And the issue is, as you saw with the Bournemouth game, if you decide to mark him out the game, if you think, well, let's stop Haaland, oh no, they've got Foden, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, KDB.
Alvarez,
because that was the game where De Bruyne went insane, didn't he, and got his little outside of the foot goal. And that's because the defenders keep dropping off, making sure Haaland doesn't get any space. All right, well, De Bruyne is going to get hat-tricks this year when they decide to man-mark Haaland. So, yeah, they've won the league, haven't they? They're going to score 100-plus goals, probably with the Champions League.
You couldn't go that far and say they've won the league already. They're not even top, Luke.
I don't care. I don't care.
I mean, I agree that Liverpool are showing vulnerabilities that make it very difficult to look beyond Man City. Yes, I agree. We probably, majority of us, bar a few deluded Arsenal fans, probably think Man City are going to win the league at the moment. 58 FPL points for Haaland from 109 touches. I tweeted this last week. I felt like it needed an update after his 16 touches in midweek. He's now at 1 FPL point for every 1.88 touches of a football. He doesn't need to be heavily involved. Remember all that concern after game week 2? Oh, he's only had 8 touches. Yeah, don't worry about that shit. Honestly, he's in the right place in the right time, playing in the best creative team, arguably in the world.
Yep.
But is he going to start tomorrow?
If I even get an inkling that he's starting, then he's my captain. I think, but this makes captaincy quite interesting in FPL. It's because it does become about guessing and guessing Pep, and it's tough. It really is. The logic would dictate that this is the game that he misses out on. Yes. Villa are probably the worst side in the league. He's started every game so far. Europe in midweek. Everyone's looking at this one going, this is the one that he should miss out. And Salah against Everton. We know Salah's going to get 90 minutes, as we saw when he got an assist in the 98th minute. He can get points the whole way through. If you think Haaland's only going to get 30 minutes off the bench, then obviously you go Salah, don't you? But all of a sudden, Haaland starts and gets 4 goals in the first half, and you're not surprised, are you? So it's tough to avoid.
I noticed Julien Lorenz, who's a very prominent French journalist, had I think he went on the official FPL show this week, and there's a clip of him on the official FPL's Twitter account of him saying Haaland's going to start Saturday, he's in too good form, etc., etc. But we all keep coming back to that Guardiola comment, don't we? When he has to play twice in 3 days, Alvarez is going to play. Now, the other thing is Alvarez played on Wednesday, which has twisted it a little bit, and did very well and scored twice. Basically played up front with him, kind of dropped into a 10 position. But the logic suggests when you break down the fixtures, this is why I was very comfortable to captain him on Wednesday night, was 3 days, Forest to Villa, 3 days, Villa to, I think they've got Seville, I want to say, on Tuesday night. Then there's 4 days to Tottenham, then another 4 days to Dortmund, 3 days to Wolves. It's possible that he only plays one of the next 3 Premier League games, in my opinion.
Yeah, the issue is, we look at it from like a marketing perspective. Can you afford to drop this bloke? Because everyone's going to be traveling from around the world to watch him play. So it's going to, obviously, it's the higher ups at City are going to be saying you can't drop this bloke. He's our Ballon d'Or winner. He's the one that's going to be the face of City forever. Obviously, Pep's going to make those decisions, but I think he has to play a lot of minutes, and he'll just sub off early when they're 8-0 up every week, won't he? So
do you think he'll start?
I think this is the one that I logically see him missing, but I don't see him missing. I see him maybe missing 5 games over the course of the season, not starting if he's fit. I don't see him missing 2 in 3, 2 in 4. I just think he's too important.
I don't think he starts tomorrow. I've no intention of selling him. Like, God, because I mean, it's one thing selling Reece James and thinking maybe I want him back. Selling this fella and wanting him back, I think it's a complete. Because to be honest, as it stands, right, I'd captain him against Tottenham next week.
Yeah,
and it's not even just a fan. He's just got 2 hat-tricks at home. What do you want to? Eventually, one of these days, Man City are going to give us a slap, like a proper slap, like a 4 or 5-0 that's been coming for a long time because we keep fluking results against them. Although we did deserve to beat them last year, as far as I'm concerned, but we have had some very fluky ones against them. One day, it's going to click and they're going to destroy us, and it might be next week. So as it stands, he'd be my captain in game week 7, but I think I'm going to captain Kevin De Bruyne tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, I know Kev's going to play, don't I?
Yeah.
Even more so because he's just had his own break.
You
Surely.
think you don't know with Pep, but yeah, no, I would assume so.
No, I don't. Kev's not one like we've had this discussion before with like Mahrez and Foden, where he's like, he's missed them, he's going to play this week, and then you're 3 games in, you're like, he's been on the bench 3 games in a row. What's going on? That's not going to happen with Kevin De Bruyne, is it? So, I think it's one tomorrow where I'll go KDB. I don't think he starts. If we get news that he's definitely starting somehow, then yeah, I'm trying to think when I wouldn't. You're almost at the stage now because of the explosiveness in him. You want to captain him most weeks, don't you? And then the knock on is, what does this mean for Mo?
Yeah. Can you justify 13 million if you're gonna captaining 10 times in 38 game weeks? It's tough. I think there's the logic of the people that went without Salah. It now makes even more sense with Haaland being as good as he is.
That said, I think Mo Salah's the best captaincy this game because I don't think Haaland will start. Yeah, I don't own Mo Salah. If I own Salah, I think I'd captain him this week. You hopefully going to get the team. Maybe if you're lucky tomorrow because it's the early kickoff. I would say I don't think it's a certainty to start either. And I think it could be a really interesting weekend where a lot of players miss out that we're not expecting. I think, for example, I don't think Heung-min Son will start for Tottenham. Most people probably already sold. But we're looking at some big name players here, potentially looking at maybe Haaland, Son, maybe even Salah, because of this Wednesday night and the Saturday lunchtime. There's always a possibility. Klopp won't think, it's the Merseyside derby. He's left Salah out against Everton before. He's not bothered. That's not to say will. I'd say we should be conscious of it. If I own Mo, I'd captain him this week. So I'd be more confident about him playing than Haaland playing.
Yep.
Would be my take. And Everton are still pretty shite as well. Who you captain this week?
Well, until you just said you thought Salah might miss out, I was going Salah. But
no, I would go Salah. If I had Salah, I'd go Salah.
Yeah, I think it's the obvious one. Everton supposedly look better defensively, but they've had a quite nice run of games. And so I think Salah's the obvious one this week.
But there's a case then, it might not come round to sort of game week 12 again, maybe. Game week 12, Liverpool have West Ham at home, and I'm not saying that's a great fixture. It's not. It's just actually like City go to Arsenal that night, Tottenham go to Manchester United. It's a really competitive midweek that. Chelsea even go to Brentford as well. Mm-hmm. So you've got 4 of the big 6 playing each other, and Chelsea and Liverpool don't have easy fixtures. I don't know where in between 7 and 12 I'd make the case to captain Salah over Haaland.
Yep.
Even in 9, Salah's got Brighton at home, Haaland's got United at home. I'd still Haaland for me, I think, at the moment. Now, we could be overlooking this in the sense that, okay, look, he's got hat-trick against Palace, hat-trick against Forest. Is it that big a deal? But I think this guy is going to go on to be the best player in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I said this. I think in the Premier League era, we've only ever had 2 Ballon d'Or winners, haven't we? And Michael Owen and Cristiano Ronaldo. I think that changes very, very soon. It won't be long until Haaland gets one. If City win the Champions League this year, I think it'll be 2023 Ballon d'Or winner.
What would you say to non-Haaland owners?
You have to buy. He's too good.
You don't have to buy this week, surely. We're saying we think he doesn't start.
I think you take the punt against him this week if we get any sort of news. But I looked up his XG and he's currently ahead of De Bruyne, Lacazette, Jimenez and Maddison for the whole of last season after 5 games. So his explosiveness is just ridiculous. He's probably going to accumulate, if he plays a fair amount of minutes, 40, 45 XG and score about 50. It's nuts.
If he plays in every game, let's say he doesn't get injured and it doesn't have to be start every game. Let's say he starts 31, 32 games and he comes on as sub in the other games. How many goals do you think he gets in the league?
I honestly think 50 is lowballing it.
Well, really? No way, mate.
You look at it. We've seen it. In
Nico, clip that.
We've seen it from Ronaldo and Messi, and we think, the Premier League's too good. They'd never do it in our league. Haaland's making a mockery of this league, and I see him. He will, before he leaves, if he were to go to Madrid or whatever, I see him scoring 50 in a season before he goes.
Wow.
Clip it. I don't care.
Different question. What price do you think it'd be in FPL next season?
14.
Did you say minimum? I didn't quite hear you there.
I really think have we had a 14 before?
I think Robin van Persie wasn't he? I think. Yeah.
Well,
God,
so. Yeah. Well, God, I guess if he scores 50, you're probably looking at 15, aren't you?
They won't. 15, 16. They still probably had just have him at 13 or something.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay. Note on Forest. No catastrophe here. This wasn't quite like the pants pulling that it was for Bournemouth at the weekend. And Forest did rest a few, as we suggested they might. Steve Cook, who might not be first choice anyway, but Jesse Lingard was obviously rested. They've signed Willy Bolly. They've signed Josh Bowler, although he's gone on loan to Olympiacos. They've got another centre back in Loic Bardet, who I don't know a lot about, from Rennes. 21 signings is a record for a Premier League club in any transfer window. They played 3 in midfield rather than kind of 2 with one behind another 2. I think that's obviously specifically designed for Manchester City. I really think Morgan Gibbs-White is the one to watch at the moment. Nice fixtures coming up. Bournemouth, Leeds, Fulham in the next 3. You're looking for a punt. Like, to be honest, like those with Rodrigo, you want to go real differential. I don't mind him as a shout for the next 3, actually, Morgan Gibbs-White. I would expect them to beat Bournemouth tomorrow. West Ham Spurs, Luke, finished 1-1. Was it a fair result?
Yeah, I think it was. Unfortunately, we fell for your trap massively, and with the goal we gave away. Yeah, and as you say, the goal that we scored probably shouldn't have stood. I assume they don't VAR throw-ins, but it was. Can I be honest?
I don't have a problem with it. I said this on the stream I did for the patrons yesterday, that there's so many foul throws in every game. I've kind of immune to it now. I do think that it needs looking at just as an overview, but do I have a problem with the goal standing? No, not really.
No, it's fine, isn't it? But I think it was a fair result, and yeah, if football matches lasted 100 minutes, I think we nicked this 2-1. A goal was coming our way.
Yeah. In the last 5 minutes. If it had been next goal wins, you'd have won.
Yeah, and I just could, we had some really good chance, but ball gets played across the box and Paqueta doesn't put it in because I don't think he's brave enough to shout for the ball yet. And Bowen clips one across the box and Souček and Antonio don't get onto it. And it was tough. It was a tough watch that last 5 minutes because I think we were so close to nabbing quite a good result there.
You're right. That last 5 minutes was a tough watch because I was looking to get out of your fucking shopping centre of a stadium, mate, because I'd had enough. So, Dad, we need to get out of here, mate. Enough. Take the point. Let's go home now, honestly. That said, I think, yes, it was a fair result. I think it's interesting. There's a lot of moaning about from Tottenham fans online, which is never the best judge anyway, about Tottenham squandering possession and such. And yet all I heard after the Nottingham Forest game was we lack control in games. We're not controlling games. We had like 40% possession at Forest. And yet against you, we had a lot more of the ball and we did control things better. And that was despite having no Rodrigo Bentancur. We went to your place and had 62% possession. That was also very expected from what I'd seen from the same game, even though Nuno Santo was our manager last year, where the two teams are absolutely petrified of what the other one is going to do to them on the counter-attack because it's your strength. I thought Antonio played quite well, actually. He's obviously had a big involvement in the equalising goal. I know Suj has been really critical of him. It just looked like normal Mikel Antonio to me. He had a great effort in the first half that hit the post. With the speed of Antonio, Bowen, the guile of Ben Rama, 4 nows, when you win the ball back and you break with those 4, you're difficult to deal with. I mean, our 3 essentially have scored the goal on their own with us. Eric Dyer won the ball literally on the line of our own penalty box. And the 3 of them have basically gone and scored the goal themselves. I know Sonny didn't touch the ball, but if it wasn't a known goal, it's obviously his goal. So both teams were so frightened of that situation happening. So what you did better second half was you started putting a bit more pressure on where there was a sense. But then even then, like after Souček scored, you didn't touch the ball for 10 minutes.
No.
We just kept the ball and killed the atmosphere. And there was a lot of people around me moaning about, oh, no, come on. And I'm thinking, well, hold on. Like, I know they're like 100 yards from the pitch, but there's 60,000 of them. They're trying to make some noise. And we've just killed them.
Yeah.
And then we started inviting the pressure again. And and you started turning us around quicker and stuff, playing a few into the channels and stuff. And from there you should have won the game. There were a few heart in mouth moments when it went across the box, but it wasn't all bad from Tottenham in terms of Wednesday night. And on the face of it, it's West Ham away, a draw is a particularly bad result. We lost there last year. Ironically, if you exclude the Nottingham Forest game, spoke about this in pre-season, Southampton at home, Wolves at home, Chelsea away, West Ham away, 0 points from them 4 games. So if you're actually going on a season comparison, we're 8 points up on them 4.
Yeah.
So I think drawing at West Ham, particularly for us in the middle of 3 games either side, is not the worst result.
Yeah, I think it's a good start for you. Obviously, a draws away at Chelsea and West Ham, and then the wins in the other 3. I think you'd have taken that. If I'd offered you that at the start of the season, you'd been more than happy with that. I think, unfortunately, the emergence of Declan Rice as kind of a number 8 rather than a 6 is what's causing us major problems at the moment. You saw it with the goal that you scored. The goal comes about because Declan Rice picks the ball up, drives forward. Souček's about 20, 25 yards from goal. Rice plays the ball into Benrahma. Benrahma goes to play a 1-2 back to him. Dyer intercepts it. Rice at that point is by the penalty spot. And it's 3 against 2. And that, Kehrer, he tried his best, but what can you do? You have to try and get the ball away. And I think this is the problem. As I say, we had a very good season 2 years ago where we nearly made it into Champions League. And at that point, Declan Rice sat and Souček went forward. And you saw, I think, that the 2 goals the other day perfectly encapsulates everything that West Ham should be doing and everything West Ham shouldn't be doing. We get caught on the counter too often because both our double pivot want to get forward. And with the second goal, Declan Rice sat, Souček got into the box and scored a great goal. He's a very intelligent runner into that box, Souček. And I think we're at this point now where we've got 2 6.5s where they don't know whether to sit, who goes, who stays, and it becomes very chaotic.
What do you want? Because Such said on Monday, he's disappointed that Rice isn't driving with the ball as much. And then, I get it completely. He's driving run. He's trying to score a goal for you, basically, and link the team. But because he's ended up so high, yes, inevitably he has, and there's 80 yards to go. There's a lot of other things you can look at. Inevitably did lead to the goal, yeah. So do you want him not to drive with the ball?
I'm fine for Declan Rice to drive forward, but don't pair him with Souček. Because you then, the thing that Souček got a lot of stick for last season, he didn't play particularly well. But that's because he was asked to defend a bit more. And he is better going forward than he probably is going backwards. His XG was halves, his goal was halved, the touch in the boxes were pretty much halved. We need, if you want Declan Rice to be an 8, then you need to go out and buy a 6. If you want Dec to be a 6, then Souček can do what he wants. We can't have it where both of them are bombing on and you end up with 6 men forward along with the fullbacks against teams like Tottenham. That is so incredibly naive, it's ridiculous.
Okay. So what's the solution? Drop Souček?
Well, I think the solution is not easy because we can't ask our star man that we want to keep at the club to not do what he wants to do. Declan Rice is West Ham at the moment. He is our top player, probably top 5 in his position in the world when it comes to a defensive midfielder.
In the world?
I think he's very, very good. I think he's very, very good. We can't say to him, Dec, you need to stay back and just defend, because he basically gets what he wants at the end of the day. It's a tough one, but West Ham being at their best would be Declan Rice sitting in front of a back 4 and Souček being allowed to go forward. If we'd signed a defensive midfielder that was happy to do that Fernandinho role, then Rice obviously would be a much better 8 than probably Souček, but we don't have that player.
You've got a great run of fixtures coming up. Obviously, really difficult game this weekend at Chelsea, and then Newcastle at home's not easy, but it is at your place. Everton, Wolves, Fulham, Southampton follows that, and there's Liverpool, and then there's Bournemouth at home afterwards. Yep. Really good run of fixtures. What have you got your eyes on for FPL?
Paqueta's the one that I'm looking at 6. I think that could be another one that's underpriced. If he's playing in behind the striker or strikers, he could be great value. And then the one that I'm most interested by is if we start playing a back 3, Emerson at 4 could obviously be very, very strong as well. So and I think unfortunately Bowen was slightly overpriced at 8.5. I think if he'd been put at 8, then you could have made him a bit more of a case. He is
By the
now
time
down
it
to
comes round,
8.2.
he might be 8 by the time
Yeah.
it comes round, in fairness. I'm
But
looking at that and going, it's going so far, I might be able to chop Luis Diaz to Bowen.
yes. Yeah, there's certainly punch you could take. And I would advise getting at least one West Ham between game week 8, game week 9 and the World Cup. Maybe a defender and an attacking type player.
Yeah, Emerson could be absolutely great if he gets in that team and it was a back three. I suspect what we might have seen in the last couple of games, though, means it's probably more of a back four, which I think means Crespo will probably stay in at the moment. I know a few West Hams fans have been very critical of him. I think probably none more so than yourself, actually, Luke. Spurs assets.
Yeah.
What have you got? Perisic. Is that it?
Perisic against West Ham is the only Spurs asset I've had all season. I just thought the value in Haaland and Salah was too strong. Obviously, I couldn't have expected in a million years that Son would come out of game week 5 with 1 assist and no goals. That's a main reason why I've done so well in terms of rank. Obviously, you couldn't have called that. Yeah, I don't know where I'd go with Spurs outside of the wing backs. Hopefully, Royale comes out the side for someone a bit more attacking. If we get a nailed Doherty or Spence.
By the way, I thought Emerson played fine as well. Again, I don't know what people expect to it. He's so much better defensively than the other options. People only want to judge it on the offensive stuff.
Yeah, sorry, and that's exactly it. I just mean personally, looking at it from an FPL manager point of view, I completely get why Royale plays in this side to accommodate Perisic. The lopsided 3-4-2-1 you play, it makes perfect sense. It's just if Doherty or Spence got a run and did get forward, then they'd be great value. Outside of that, I think obviously Kane's brilliant, but Haaland's better as an FPL asset. Kane obviously offers everything.
But perhaps the debate going forward is more, and we've not had this for a long time, is Kane versus Salah.
Yes.
As a secondary option to supplement potentially Haaland. Now, I couldn't overly make the case for Kane over Salah, and particularly Tottenham coming to a very difficult run of fixtures soon. But it is 1.5 million saving that you have to factor into that as well. That could go a long way. I don't see how beyond this weekend. I don't see how anyone who's got Kane and hasn't got Haaland. I'd say hold this week. If you've got Kane this week, I think Kane's very captainable this weekend. To be honest, like those who've got that Kane and Haaland and don't have a premium midfielder would be very tempted to captain Harry actually this weekend. He's in good form. He's playing well. No one wants to talk about the August hoodoo because it's not been a thing. And actually, in any other year, and this goes for Salah as well. In most other years, we'd be going, Kane and Salah started great. It's just what Haaland's done over the last week. You go, oh my God, this is monstrous. Yep. So I think Harry's very captainable this week at the moment. I wouldn't captain Sonny if you're still there. I think there's every chance he'll get rested, and it is rested. I think Richarlison is due that start. I think Richarlison will start probably for Son. It could be for Kulusevski. I think it will probably be for Son. I think the clue in that is probably Son finishing the 90 minutes as well, rather than Kulusevski on Wednesday night. I don't think Perisic will start. I think a little bit like Haaland, I just feel like this is the logical one. Also, the fact that he played 90 minutes at West Ham, he's a little bit off-putting. He was working hard. His fitness looked great, by the way. No major problems. He had one moment defensively that went to kill him in the second half, which led to a moment where West Ham nearly scored, but his performance was fine. He's obviously a breathtaking threat going forward. If you knew he was going to play, I mean, I'd probably pick him even at Man City because I think we get beat 4-5-1 and he'll still get me 5-6 points because he'll probably get our goal or something.
Yeah.
I don't think he starts tomorrow. I don't know anything. It's just me saying that I think it makes logical sense with Marseille Wednesday, City Saturday, and Sporting Lisbon Tuesday. He's probably not going to play all three of them either. And that is the caveat to that. Could he look at it and go, well, it's 4 days to Marseille. Can you get him to play? I don't even think it's beyond reason that Sessegnon might play the next 2 league games. He's even a possibility. That the game's on Saturday, the deadline's tomorrow morning. we've been quite lucky in terms of getting information on Tottenham and social media. So hold your horses is what I'd say. If you don't own Perisic and you get word that he's in the team, he's probably worth buying just for the one game, to tell you the truth. If he's not in the team, most cases bench him. I'm in a very unique situation where I have Perisic and Sessegnon, so some early news would be great. As it stands for this particular fixture, I'm probably just going to start both, whatever.
Yes, yeah.
And let it be. Obviously, Sessegnon didn't get on against West Ham. I find it unthinkable that he wouldn't get on in this particular game. Sessegnon's obviously definitely on the chopping block, of course, but part of it was thinking that Perisic probably wouldn't play this game. And Sessegnon's will be a great differential for this weekend. From a fantasy perspective, kind of hoping that Sessegnon gets the nod. From a fan perspective, I just want Ivan to play. I think he's
Unbelievable.
Yeah, super player. Right, we'll fire through the last couple. Liverpool versus Newcastle. Couple of assists for Salah. I guess the standout from this was the performance of Alexander Isak, who it's worth saying he's yellow flagged at the moment, potentially picked up a dead leg, so might not play against Palace. Newcastle very nearly got something out of this, which is full credit to them, considering you had no Gomeres, no Saint Maximin, and no Callum Wilson. Some bizarre choices at the back as well, and I say bizarre because it sounds like it was down to team selection was the reasoning behind Lascelles and Byrne being the centre-back partnership rather than Botman and Fabian Schär, who were both unused substitutes. I don't know what that's all about. I presume that's down to games in quick succession rotation. It's what I'd take. And a little bit like with Nottingham Forest, okay, you pick your battles, probably least likely to get something at Liverpool, but they very, very nearly did. What I wanted to ask you, Luke, is with Isak, when Wilson is available, and he won't be for a couple of weeks, how do you see that working?
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because the midfield three for Newcastle, when they're all fit, is very strong. So I can't see them wanting to play like a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2. It's different. Potentially, they've just given up on Wilson as their starter now. They've gone and got them, because Wilson is a fantastic player, but he's just so injury prone, isn't he? Unfortunately, and potentially a bit like Antonio at West Ham, you've now just gone and got your main guy, and the injury prone bloke will just be, your backup. Which is a shame because I think Wilson's fantastic, but Isak looks very, very good, doesn't he? The goal he didn't score was the one that was actually more impressive.
Both impressive finishes, to be totally honest. But yeah, I mean, he certainly sat a couple down for the disallowed one. My instinct is if everyone's fit for Newcastle tomorrow, which obviously isn't the case, I think Isak and Wilson both play. I think Isak probably plays to the right,
okay,
which would possibly be a little bit concerning. I think part of that as well is Newcastle do have a tendency to have a bias in terms of the fullbacks. Trippier will get a lot higher than Target or Byrne, for example, which does mean he's not sitting out there. He can come in and then end up in kind of a centre forward position alongside Callum Wilson. Yeah, it's the one thing that's really putting me off at the moment, because I'm certainly looking at that Bournemouth, Fulham, Brentford, Man United, Everton run from game week 8 and thinking exactly what I said. Can you come off Jesus and gamble with Isak for that little spell of games and then go back, for example? And that would be off-putting for me, not knowing where he's going to play.
Yeah,
because I think that's dubious at the moment. Folks?
Well, it obviously is an issue until you've seen how they play. The positive is we know full well that players off the right or off the left, when the fullback bombs on, and as you say, they get to come inside, players like Salah, players like Son, there's no reason they can't score just as many goals as the strikers do anyway, because they pick up great areas as it is. So yeah, I think if it ends up being like that, where Isak kind of plays as this right-hand side forward, there's no reason he couldn't score goals in that team, and he looks strong. And as you say, they've got a very nice run of games coming up again, up until that World Cup, around the time people are going to wildcard. So what is he? He's 7 million, isn't he? I think that's an intriguing price.
Thoughts on Liverpool?
There's not much to take from Liverpool, is there? Because defensively,
vulnerabilities were here again.
Yeah. They're not giving up major chance that defensively they still in the underlyings look fine. They're going to keep some clean sheets at some point, and those fullbacks are going to be good value. But obviously, I'm currently still on Robertson and Trent, and they've let me down so far. Well, at least Robertson has. I think the issue you have at the moment with the injuries they've got, one of their best subs is Shimikas. Because they've got so many injuries, there's very few players you can bring off the bench. I think personally that's the only reason Robertson's coming off so early, is because if you need to change things up, one of the better players on the bench is the Greek left back. So,
the Greek left back.
The Greek left back.
I think it was easier to say Shimikas, Luke.
But it's. I think if I'm on Robbo, you keep for the next two, don't you? Up until the wild card, and just hope something comes good for them. They've got to keep some clean sheets at some point.
Yeah, that's probably where it's at. And then there's a case to say, I mean, again, a little bit like with Arsenal, if you are wildcard in 8, could you go none of them?
This is the first time since I've started playing FPL, outside of injuries, etc., that I've ever considered going without Mo Salah. And I'm seriously considering it.
I looked at a potential wildcard, and I'd say I'd left Trent in.
Yes.
And the reason I'd left Trent in was it's brutal to try and get up there. If you set your team up and you need to get there, it could be brutal. And it feels like with him, it's any game, any time, obviously. So I'd set it up without Trent. Now, you can make that case with the likes of Salah as well. And I think that I don't have at the moment, I don't have a problem with it. That said, I think he's probably the best captaincy option this game week as it stands. But yeah, there's a debate that's going to grow and grow. I remember this time last year, it was game week 1. You can't not have Bruno Fernandes.
Yes.
And by sort of like game week 6, 7, it was like, bin this guy off. Now, that's not the case with Mo. He's got 2 assists here. It's a decent little return, 8-pointer or so, I think he's got. It's absolutely fine. He's ticking over fine. A little bit like what I said with Kane. There's nothing wrong with Mo's returns at the moment.
Yep.
But there is a case to say that there's a new king.
Yeah.
And Mo is arguably the best FPL asset of all time.
Yes.
So it's not easy. You've said it yourself. It's the first time I've ever considered going without him. The fixtures coming up beyond that Wolves fixture in 7 are tough. Chelsea, Brighton, Arsenal, Man City is as tough as it gets, really, as a 4-game run. That's as difficult as anyone's going to have over 4 games this season, considering Chelsea and Arsenal are away as well. Brighton at home is harder than Brighton away,
yep,
as we've kind of learned as well. So it really is a tough run. And yeah, there will be a case to come off Liverpool assets. So if I was wildcarding 8, I'd arguably just Trent, and it's part protection. It wouldn't be Mo for me, but I haven't got Mo. I've gone without. He hasn't killed me. That said, I obviously went with Son instead, and Son's done nothing. So
yes,
that's why I'm 1.5 million rank rather than Suj's 180k rank. So yes, I would have been better off with Mo Salah, no doubt about it. But I think yes, people are beginning to look away. If you're a Mo Salah owner, I'd not be selling him this week, and I don't think I'd be selling him next week before Wolves as well. Then there's a debate to maybe be had. Would be my take. Finally, Leicester versus Manchester United. I noticed we had a question in from our Leicester City correspondent, Aaron Lagor, who says, how long has Brendan Rodgers got left in the job?
I don't know if he'll even make it to that Villa game. I think if they make it to that Villa game at home, then they'll probably win it. But I don't know if he gets that far.
So next week's clash of the correspondents is Leicester versus Aston Villa.
Yeah.
With Aaron Lagor and Lee Jackson. This was planned pre-season, but there's all sorts of talks at the moment. We're talking about marriage swap, manager swap, wife swap. Obviously, Clash of Correspondence goes out on a Thursday. Now, the only slot we can find to record is Monday night. So I've messaged the guys this morning and said, your podcast is going out on Tuesday.
Yep.
Because I think between Monday and Thursday, I might have to put that podcast in the bin.
Yep. Yep.
So that should Clash of the Correspondence spoiler for next week. Those two, Leicester and Villa, right on the edge. It's unacceptable that Leicester have 1 point from the fixtures they had. We highlighted in pre-season that if they did badly in the Southampton and Brentford games, which they did, because they have to score 3 goals to win any game of football, then they were going to be bang in trouble with the fixtures they've got. Brighton away, Tottenham away, 2 of the next 3. Yes, you've got that Villa fixture as a relief. Then ironically, they do have, in my opinion, the best 5-game stretch of any team pre-World Cup. Of Forest, Bournemouth, Palace, Leeds, Wolves, with 3 of them at home from game week 9, which adds to the whole kind of wildcard period around that point. Maybe if you're looking at Maddison, for example, you might want to take a 1-week punt on someone else. But I've been saying it for weeks. I think Leicester and Brendan Rodgers are ending to an inevitable conclusion. Yeah. I don't think it's irreparable at Aston Villa, but I think at Leicester, it just feels like an inevitability. Did you see what he said in his presser last night about we needed help?
Yeah, Scott Parker.
Which was basically exactly what Scott Parker said, just very differently at the weekend. And I thought, I wouldn't be surprised if I get word in the next hour.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we looked on Twitter now and he's gone.
He was gone, yeah. I'm looking, he's not.
Not yet?
No.
Give it 10 minutes.
No, he's still in charge, mate. Yeah, can you see any recovery there for that?
No, I think you can spot it, can't you? You can spot these relationships coming to an end, and he's done a perfectly good job. I think you look back over his tenure there, they nearly got into the Champions League twice. He won them an FA Cup. He's done a great job, but when you're backed so little to the point where your first outfielder comes in on deadline day, and that's only because you've sold your centre back for 80 million and bought one for 15. There's something going on behind the scenes, isn't there? So
he said last night, Brendan Rodgers, I've loved every minute of being here. It's the longest I've ever been at a club, and that's because of the players and the ownership. We've won an FA Cup and Community Shield. He sounds like fucking Mourinho adding that. Yep. And you want to build on that, but we haven't been able to.
Yeah, it's game over.
It's defeatist, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll play really poorly against Brighton, get beat, and he'll be gone.
Yeah, I mean, I see it heading that way personally. I think it's just a broken relationship, and I still think somewhere in there, Brendan Rodgers is actually a very good football manager. I just think that's run its course now, where you look at them, even with what they've got available, it shouldn't be on 1 point from 5 games, should they?
No.
They've got great players. They shouldn't be in that position. I feel like Jamie Vardy's hardly kicked a ball this season. Is that just me?
I've watched a fair amount of their games and he's been completely ineffective. And I think Kasper Schmeichel is obviously a loss. Their defense has never been fantastic, but I think having that goalkeeper behind you that is so solid, and you can depend upon the goal they scored yesterday, Man United, the Sancho goal. To me, that's a mistake from Ward. I thought there was no reason for him to come that far out to try and claim the ball, tackle Sancho. He's barely played football for about 5 years, has he? Bless him. So, he just looks out of his depth.
I think that goal's on the manager.
Yeah.
Positional setup from a direct ball. United, it was so easy for United to play through. Either Luke Thomas has gone on a wonder or it's under instruction. And I would guess it's under instruction, and it was too easy for United to play through that. And I think United, it actually felt that they played within themselves a little bit last night. I think they could have taken the game away at various points and ended up being in a position where Leicester started lumping the odd long ball, and United obviously had to send Varane to win it. And there was 1 or 2 at the end of the game where he didn't. And Martinez is backing off, which is the right strategy.
Yep.
And they put themselves under a bit of pressure. Other than that, Maddison free kick or two, they never really looked like they were going to concede Manchester United. And the title charge is on, Luke.
They look fine, and I think it was important for them to get these results. It sounds silly, but me and you had a conversation a couple of weeks ago because I heard on the podcast you say this could end up like De Boer at Palace. And I think it was just important that Liverpool game was massive. Obviously, it's great for them to get a win against Liverpool, fine, but they needed just steady the ship with 9 points in 9. Have they played great? No. 2 clean sheets away from home in a row. Doesn't matter who you play. That's great. So you can see in the patterns of play, some of the goals they've scored. If they give him time, if they let him recruit who he needs to recruit, they can do something and they can get back to being a much better team than they are now.
Yeah, I mean, the Frank de Boer comment looks silly now, and I was aware it was probably a bit silly at the time, but it was based on if they got destroyed by Liverpool and then lost at Southampton, then who's fucking drilling? That's not annoying much. Sorry if you've just got the drilling noise now in your ear. There's not a lot I can do about that. Right, that's time to end the podcast. Just sounds like I'm farting, to be totally honest. Yeah, look, the way they 15 minutes into the Liverpool game, I knew he was no longer in for the sack, right? Because of the way they were playing. They haven't been vintage against Southampton or Leicester. But it doesn't matter. 2-1 nil away wins, great. The back four looks stronger for having Varane and Malacia in it. And I was going to do some Twitter questions, but I feel like I should probably end this podcast now because we've been talking for fucking ages anyway. How long have we been talking for, Luke?
Way past an hour and a half.
1 hour 45. Yeah.
Whoops.
Sorry. No Twitter questions, guys. You're not interested in investing in United yet, are you, Luke?
No, wait and see for me, I think. But they'll become options at some point, won't they?
Yeah, I think so. Do you know a lot about Anthony?
No, I don't. But he's one of these where you look up the stats and you think, how on earth is that 85 million? But there must be something that they've seen that we haven't. It's the same as Anthony Gordon. You see 60 million and think that can't be possible. But I'd like to think if you're spending 85 million on a player, you must have seen something that is quite impressive.
Look, 2 words for you, mate. Nicola Pepe.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it?
Don't think we should assume anything, mate.
No.
I'm sure, to be fair, Ten Hag obviously knows that league well. It's obviously a player that the manager wanted. The manager is definitely on the case there. I'm sure he's a very talented player. Whether it be an FPL asset at 7.5 certainly remains to be seen. Right, Luke, tell everyone where they can follow you, my friend. Thank you for that.
FPL Irons on Twitter. Honestly, don't bother. It's not great.
Was one question I wanted to cover off, which is a great question. It's not FPL related, but I think it's really great questions from Phantom Mantle, our Chelsea correspondent. Why is Ismail Assar still at Watford?
Yeah, not a clue. Not a clue. I think it was. It seemed like he was available for 20 to 30 million potentially. I'm shocked that nobody came in for him. I think he's a very, very good player that could have fit into a lot of sides.
And there was that question from FPL Hindsight.
Don't ask me the question.
Can I be honest? I was very, very tempted to open the podcast and ask that question just to see if you'd walk out in minute 1.
Honestly, I hate it because as soon as a Twitter account fancies a bit of interaction, they ask that because they know that they know how wound up people like me get.
The question is, would you rather your team won the Premier League or you won FPL? Look, I'd rather beat Fulham tomorrow than win FPL, mate. Like, honestly.
If you offered me a draw versus Chelsea away at the weekend, I would take the draw. I think anybody who would take an FPL win where you win nothing financially anyway, over your team scoring a goal, getting a corner, you're not a football fan. And anyone that disagrees with me, honestly, go and find me on Twitter. If you follow me, unfollow me. I don't want people like you talking to me.
Okay, just one more quick. We've done it. FPL Najib. I'm just going to put you on the spot. A Rodrigo replacement. One name.
Gross.
Okay. Luke, thank you so much, mate. Really, really enjoyed that. What have I still got? It's start of the month. Support us on Patreon. Luke's a patron. www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. We'll have over 20 additional podcasts throughout the month of September. Deadline stream tomorrow is at 10 a.m. UK time on the Planet FPL YouTube channel. And Tom Campbell, just because I love having West Ham fans on for the crack, is joining me for the Gameweek 6 review podcast on Monday. And yes, Leicester and Aston Villa is now going to be clashing correspondence on Tuesday because I don't trust it will wait till Thursday. Suj will be back from Wednesday. But just leaves me to say thanks again so much to Luke. Thanks for giving up your time, my friend. Cue music, please, man child.